There is a microscopic window of time, roughly 1/60th of a second, where human conscience operates. It's the briefest hesitation, a paradinha, where we intuitively weigh right from wrong before making a choice. Modern economic platforms are engineered to collapse this window of hesitation entirely. This behavioral architecture traces back over a century to the stimulus-response loops mapped out by Ivan Pavlov. Edward Bernays weaponized these loops for the public relations industry, creating a mechanism to manufacture mass public consent. B.F. Skinner finalized the model, proving that dangled rewards could ensure continuous, unthinking user compliance. Bypassing human weighing is a design requirement for blood capitalism. It creates the frictionless environment necessary to extract value from a user before they can think to refuse. This engineered blindness was the operating condition of the Vietnam War. Young soldiers were placed in foxholes where they could not distinguish a fighter from a farmer. A continuous corporate lineage, from Brown and Root to KBR, profited directly from this inability to see clearly. 40 years later, in 2003, the exact same maneuver played out on a global stage to manufacture a pretext for the invasion of Iraq. The presentation of a tiny anthrax vial at the UN was an event delivered by a trusted face, specifically engineered to evaporate the nation's pause. Whether an algorithm is pulling engagement from a phone or a contractor is pulling billions from a government, eliminating the pause is the prerequisite for extraction. Many assume capitalism was always intended to function as a morally blind wealth generation machine. But Adam Smith published his moral framework 17 years before he wrote his famous economic treatise. In his economic writings, Smith attacked the East India Company directly, calling it a monopoly that impoverished Bengal while enriching its shareholders. The predators of that era adopted Smith's wealth machine, but intentionally discarded the moral foundation that was meant to govern it. Reversing this failure requires putting the sequence back in the correct order, building the economic doctrine on top of the moral foundation. We call this conscience efficiency, an economic test where we advance us all, and never at the expense of any others. Merit pay corrects the architecture by paying creators for actual value received, rather than attention captured. Historically, legal registries were state-chartered machines used to legitimize looting and violence. Calendar and K-Stamp used that same registry machinery to protect a small creator's idea before a large predator can arrive. Economic humanism weaponizes the previously neutral registry for the creator, making it structurally impossible to exploit labor or ideas. This new architecture maintains rational self-interest while removing the Machiavellian override that compels platforms to seek power at all costs. Thinkology relies on everyday popular conscience to challenge predatory economic structures. In the 1960s, a Pete Seeger song could act as a moral pause, forcing a 19-year-old student to weigh the reality of the war. This common register conscience was so effective at inducing the pause that television networks censored it. By using the registry to build that moral pause directly into the architecture of our tools, we ensure that human value outlives its exploiters.